My win, believe it or not, is getting a divorce.
Oh,
It may
really?
come as a surprise. Yeah, but it's a win. I think very much like we often see it as a failure, but for me it was a big win. Like to get the courage to make the decision, for me was a very big win of the year.
If you're someone who's always trying to level up, whether it's your health, your career, or just life in general, you have to check out the Lift newsletter. This is my personal newsletter where I share stories, insights, and practical tips that are all about creating a lift in your life. We're talking about how to crush it in business, how to stay sharp mentally and physically, and find a little balance along the way. Every edition is packed with quick reads, actionable advice, and a little humor along the way. It's all designed to give you value up front and never waste your time. So head over to my website, it's ryanestis.info, click the newsletter, and subscribe today. It's free, it's fun, and who knows, maybe this is the lift you've been looking for. ryanestis.info. Now let's get back to the podcast. So this is the second to last or last week of 2024. And going into 2025, I always like to do a little reflection. I don't think I'm alone with that. I think this is the time, It's time to reflect on the year we've had and get excited going into the new year, And so it's dark, it's darker, it's colder here in Colorado. It's the perfect time to do some reflection. So should we dive in with a couple of questions?
Absolutely. Let's go ahead.
Let's do it. Okay, so this is the first one. What are some of the biggest wins in the last year? And I sat with this for a little bit and I had a couple, and I'm interested to hear yours as well. So this year, we validated some new products. We grew EBITDA. I joined a networking group called Hampton, which is really cool. And I started my personal website, which has been a big boon. I'd be interested in hear on what are some of your wins?
My win, believe it or not, is getting a divorce.
Oh,
It may
really?
come as a surprise. Yeah, but it's a win. I think very much like we often see it as a failure, but for me it was a big win. Like to get the courage to make the decision, for me was a very big win of the year. So that would be one of them.
Absolutely.
And the other one
Yeah, that's
was yeah, sorry.
let's pause on that for a minute because I agree. So everything's a tool. It just depends on how you hold it. And sometimes, of course, there's a lot of heartbreak that goes into something like that for sure. But ultimately, it's the catapult that leads you to your next thing, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I think like everything, of course, there's like not everything's positive, like we we oftentimes fall into this like toxic positivity that we want to be happy all the time. And I don't think that's fair either. So, but like once you go through the pain and through the heartbreak, like at least get something out of it. And for me, it was a huge win to because I was in that relationship for 11 years. So like the expected thing for me to do was just like stay there.
Mhm.
So it's a big win. It was unexpected. That's not something I was planning on doing this year. Like I don't think you plan those kind of things, but that's what life brought.
It's interesting you use that word toxic positivity because I had that term in my recap as well. Kind of, I was thinking about what didn't work, you know, systems, processes, or mindsets. And for me, it was toxic positivity. I think this is an interesting concept, because we are kind of presented with this image that you're supposed to there's an expectation that you're supposed to be happy at all times, you know, which is ridiculous. And for me, it created kind of negative outcomes because I wasn't being honest with my own expectations. So for me, it was like being like, yeah, sure, everything's cool, everything's fine. But I realized I was creating, support and some accountability for everybody else, but not for myself. I wasn't supporting myself just because I wasn't being honest with myself or other people that I had needs. So that's something I wanted to change on. It was interesting that you used that term too.
Yeah, I mean it's something that I think we need to realize more often. Like, yeah, it's great to get some knowledge out of everything that happens in life. I think like that's a reason for everything to happen. And it's amazing to learn from it. But like also we listen more and more. And I'm so happy that we get to that it's okay to not be okay all of the time. And it's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to feel like vulnerable and sad. Because in those times, I think that's when you learn about yourself the most and from life in general, to take like
Totally
a
agree.
step back and just stay still for a bit and feel all your emotions. We don't get to do that much. Like we all the time we're like looking forward and what else, and we need to be happy and we need to be like energetic and creating new stuff. And sometimes we don't have the energy to do that, and we'll just get to a point when we're all burned out, and then you wonder like, how did I get here? Probably that's how you got there.
Totally agree. I totally agree. What are some of your other wins from the year?
Getting this amazing job. It's definitely
Hey,
another win. Yeah. And of course, my first pull up.
dude, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. Because
That's
I
amazing. Did you
think,
get it on video?
yes, I got it. And I think it's like, of course, deep love is like a thing, but everything that came before that, I think is what makes it a win. Because it's not that much about the pull up, it's all the work that you put into it to get to it, like everything that it represents. So that's why I consider that a very big win.
It's amazing. Yeah, and it's like, it's what I love about working out. Sometimes you get these tangible results of setting a goal and then having a satisfying feeling of accomplishing it. So when you set out to do your pull-up, how did you approach that? Did you start with flexed arm hang and then grow from there?
Like I was trying for so long in these like the supported machine, but I didn't progress that much. And then like I
Yeah.
started researching a little bit more and I saw like you have to put these like elastic band to help you. So I started with that and I was training like probably 2 to 3 times a week, trying my pull-ups. And then when I felt like I could do like around 8 with the assisted band, I started just like hanging a little bit so my hands got used to like supporting my body. And then I progressed to like holding yourself and jumping like static on the top. And the next step was just like trying the pull up. You don't get them the first, I don't know, like 100 times, but then all
Yeah.
of a sudden you can do one.
Congratulations. That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So those are external wins. Okay, let me ask you something. Do you have a B2B or tech brand that want to get your message out to the right people? Like the people that actually care about your product and offering and are willing to make a purchase? Well, let me put you on to Wildcast. Wildcast is a secret weapon for brands that want to advertise on podcasts. And not just any podcast, we're talking about the shows that your audience is actually listening to, that your customers are actually listening to, that your prospects are actually listening to. These are host-read ads that move the needle in your business. It's personal, it's targeted, and honestly, it's one of the best ways to create real connections with your audience. And the best part, Wildcast takes care of it all. They match you with the perfect shows, they manage all of the content, they report, and they manage all of the payment distribution. So all you have to do is sit back and watch the magic happen. If that sounds like something you need, head over to gowildcast.com and apply today. Start turning listeners into loyal customers. Seriously, you'll thank me. Go to gowildcast.com. That is gowildcast.com. Back to the show. Now we've got the second part of this question. What's the biggest wins from the past year? Internal. So this could be mindset shifts, progress on boundaries, breaking through limited beliefs, unmeasurable or intangible progress. I'm curious to what you had in response to that question.
Being able to trust myself. I think that's the
Hmm.
big win of this year. Like, yeah, to trust myself that I can accomplish bigger things than I thought I would. That's the biggest win of the year, like above everything else. Cause I think it all circles back to trusting myself that I can do stuff. And once I trust myself, then I will like take the steps to achieve whatever I'm going for. And I don't think
Yeah.
we put enough attention and trusting ourselves. Like we spend so much time believing like the trust is out there and in other people, in other persons. But like you say, I'm gonna wake up 6 a.m. tomorrow morning and you miss it and you go and miss it again and miss it again. Like if you don't yeah, like if you don't get that thing, those things for yourself, like how are you gonna trust yourself to do like bigger stuff? You know, like to open a business, to create a loving friendship. If you wouldn't handle that from another person, that if they made that to you, like you would get tired of it, you know? Like why
Yeah.
would you do that to yourself?
No, I kinda had something similar, you know, and part of it had to be, what's the biggest lesson learned? I just feel like I'm really lucky, you know, like, and I know that, like, luck is usually disguised by hard work, you know, so when I'm thinking about trusting myself and how I can do that, one thing I know about myself is that even if I'm having a hard time, I'm still gonna show up. You know, I talk to my son about this all the time because, he trains really hard. He's a football player, he's in high school. And, what we talk about is like, "Hey, man, sometimes you get the pull-up. Sometimes you get a PR on your bench. Sometimes you get a PR on your clean, but sometimes just walking in the front door is the win." So we talk about like, I don't know if I'm gonna work out today or not. All I know is I'm going to the gym. And I might go to the gym, take a nap in the corner because I'm tired, but I'm gonna get to the gym first and give myself that opportunity. So, when it's like you trust yourself, that's one thing that I feel like I can rely on is that like I know I'm gonna show up. I've proven that. And the more I show up, boy, the luckier I am. And I don't know if luckier is real or not, but I'm gonna believe in it just because it seems to like bear a lot of fruit for me, you know, which I think makes my attitude a little bit lighter. It's like, "Hey, man, I don't know what's gonna happen, but something awesome's gonna happen because it always does." you know? So internally, my takeaways from this year, I did 2 retreats. I'm a meditation guy, and it's good for me to find fellowship with other, kindred spirits and create that time separate away from work, separate away from, my family, from my social responsibilities. So I got 2 retreats in this year. I feel like that's taking good care of myself. I also have a daily sitting practice that I was very consistent this year. Yoga was a big part of my routines this year. I just knocked down, I think, my 500th hour of doing yoga over the last couple of years, which I felt pretty good about, you know?
Yeah.
It was funny. I was in this yoga class and the teachers just became they have the software now that they can see how many classes the students have done. And so she's like, "I would like to make an announcement because we have a student here that has done a lot of yoga, and I'd like to talk about that." And so, like, internally, I'm like, "Oh, she's talking about me. I've done 500 hours. That's gotta be a world record or something." And so then she mentions this guy, and he had done 3,750 hours. And
3,000.
I was
That's
like,
too much.
Yeah, yeah, 3,700 hours of yoga, and, like, I was like, "Whoa." So I kinda pulled him, aside in the locker room. I was like, "Dude, that's incredible, man. How'd you do that?" And he's like, "Most of them are yoga sculpt too." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." You know? So so anyway, I felt good about my yoga practice. I felt good about my sitting practice and finding consistency. And then the other one is I had this mantra came to me when I was hunting in the woods this year, and it was kind of a conglomeration of just, platitudes and I mean, it for whatever reason, this mantra that came to me in the woods was very settling and very calming, and so I've been thinking about it ever since, and so, a part of kinda sitting practice in the Vipassana tradition is, like, insight meditation, so every now and again, you have insights. Mostly, you're there to just sit and calm your mind, but every once in a while, you have these insights, so when I have them, I'm careful to be grateful because hopefully you get some more, you know? Okay,
Absolutely.
so let's do some more big wins in the realm of process oriented. So these could be systems, habits, focus goals, often the building block for bigger external wins. Did you have any of these this year?
Yes, like building a routine that works for me. I think that's the main part that works for me. Because I think we sometimes we marry this idea of having a routine of the influencer we follow online or something we read somewhere that worked for someone, but that person ain't you. They don't have your job. They don't have your energy levels. They don't have your eating habits. Like whatever, they're not you. So for me, building a routine that works for me was a huge game changer.
Tell me about this routine.
Okay, so I love waking up early. Like one of the joys I get every day is like feeling this fresh air in the very early morning. So I wake up 4:55 and then like I
Wow.
will yes, like I will do like brush my teeth, get of course to wake up at this hour, I need to get ready the night before. Like my routine starts the day before. Because half an hour before I go to sleep, like no screens, just red lights. I will get my clothes ready for the next day so I don't spend any more time in the morning, like, choosing what to wear. And it just makes it easier. Like every morning, I thank Fernanda from last night that she got everything ready for this day. So I leave
Yeah.
everything ready the night before. Like I ground my coffee beans for my morning coffee. I fill up my water bottle. I choose my clothes, everything I leave ready. And then I wake up 4:55. I get ready. 5:30, I leave my place to go to the gym. And then from 6:30 to 8:39, I'll go and get my workout done. Then I'll come back to my house, have some breakfast, get a shower, and then start working. At 1:30, I make my lunch and I will take like my lunch break from 1:30 till 2:30. I will get again back to work. After work, like every day is different. I decided like after work, every day I want to do like something different and something fun for me, because I'm
Mm.
stuck in my place like all day staring at a screen. So I either take like salsa classes or go climbing with my friends or take like volleyball classes or just take a walk around my place. And some days are like a little bit more boring, like I'll get some laundry done or anything. And at 7:30, I have dinner. At 8, no more screens. At 8:30, I go to bed and I read for half an hour. And then at night, I'm in bed sleeping.
I I love the discipline and the rigor. I mean, that is there's something comforting about the structure, right?
Yes, yes. I love structure. And, like, of course, it's hard to stick to it, but it has so much benefits. I don't think it works for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
just as I said, like, everyone has like something that works for them. I don't think this routine would work for everyone because I was just reading as well. Like, sometimes we think that if we don't get up early, then we are not productive. Because I think that's something that has been sold for so many years. But then I was reading this study that talks about how some of us are like early birds and some of us are like late owls. And it has something to do with evolution. Like if you like waking up early, you were probably a descendant of the people that woke up to go hunting. But if you
The
like to
hunters.
stay up
Yeah.
late, yes. But if you like to stay up late, then you probably descend from the guys that stayed up taking care of the tribe.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the partiers.
Well, I think maybe as well. Maybe it was a part of it.
The night watchmen, they're always having a good time around the campfire, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
No, this is interesting because I'm stuck in a bit of a conundrum. Now, on my goals for next year, I have reclaim the mornings because when I kind of ascribe to this, I like to get it in the morning. When I was at my kind of peak physical training, I was getting up probably about the same time you get up, 4:45, something like that. I would go do CrossFit at 5:30, and then at 6:30, I do 90 minutes of jujitsu. And then I would start my day, and I would be totally gassed. I'd be so tired, getting into that routine, and sometimes I would take a nap and then go to work. Um, but and to get there is very hard because I am definitely one of the late night, campfire kind of guys. So the first time I was able to transition to mornings, what I did is I practiced getting up. So like you, I did my layout for the morning. So in the morning I could be tired and I wouldn't have to think about it. But I practiced because what I was doing is the alarm would go off at 4:45. I just turn it off like asleep. So in the evening, I would practice. I'd like, okay, I'm in bed, and then the alarm goes off, and I hit it, and I get up, and I put on my gym clothes, and I put my gym bag, and I go to my car, and I would do that 2 or 3 times just to like get accustomed to that, to so I could do it half asleep basically in the morning. So here's the conundrum. I want to get back to mornings, but when I'm thinking about 2024 and what worked well, what I put down was I used my best self to organize my daily habits. And what I mean by that is I'm not a morning person. I'm not even really an afternoon person. It takes probably till 3 or 4, I would say, till I kind of wake up. It takes me like 8 hours to wake up. So then by the end of the day, now I feel like I'm ready. I'm creative. I'm ready to go. I have ideas and stuff like that. So what I would do is like once after dinner, I do the dishes and make sure everybody's in their proper place. And now I have a little bit of time for myself. So I go out to the garage, you know, have a little bourbon, kick back, and then I start to organize my day and my week. So I'm at my most creative, my peak mental time, around the campfire, so to speak. And I'm figuring out what I want to do with my day. And I can set up my day through rituals, through time blocking, through delegating, through all of these things I want to get done when I'm at my most creative. So, in the same sense that I would, lay out and just wake up so I could do it half asleep and go through my day, I set myself up the same way. So, when I sit down for work, I know I'm at 20% and I can use the organization I had done the night before to just set the way. And I can just kind of tick off all of the things on my checklist. So, on one hand, I wanna really reclaim the morning and, rise with the eagles, you know, but then also I realize that the late night is where I do my best work when I'm hooting with the owls. So what am I gonna do? I don't know. We'll have to figure out.
I mean, it's part of what I believe that, like what is the reason behind getting up early?
For me,
Yes, for you.
you know, really, it's getting the brain going faster because hot yoga in the morning is exceptional. It may take me 45 minutes to like get a sweat and like get warm and now my body feels loose, you know? I every morning I wake up, I just feel beat up and terrible. So so it's like, you get the heat and just stretch out and you have that kind of clarity and that mental focus that comes from yoga and you go into your day and you just feel great. You just feel better. So, it plus, I would like to get in two-a-days again. I need to get on my pull-up game. So, if I can get to yoga early in the morning, then in the evenings, I'll go lift and lift heavy because I love to lift but like a lazy bear, just like look at your phone and do squats every 4 or 5 minutes, like, just take it easy. How about you? When you're thinking back, what worked well as far as systems, processes, anything else come to mind?
I think for me, that's the main thing, like building a routine that works for me. And also
Yeah.
like mm, being very aware of having the privilege to be able to do that. Cause I know like not everyone can do it. So be grateful that I have everything in my power to make that happen. And that's something like amazing. I'm so grateful to be able to have all this context around me that allows me to have this routine and to have these discipline and to have all these things that I enjoyed so much about this year to build my routine. Just acknowledging that privilege that I live in, it's also, I think, made a difference.
Cool. I love it. Now looking into 2025, what are things you wanna spend more time and energy on, and what are some things you wanna spend less time and energy on?
What I would love to spend more like time on is knowing myself better. I don't think we spend enough time getting to know ourselves. All the time we have all these external um, yeah, like we're with people all of the time, we're with our phones all of the time, social media is everywhere. There is music, there is movement, but I don't think we take enough time to just be aware of how we are feeling, how we are thinking about stuff, and to know ourselves better. And I'm speaking for myself, like for me, a big win of 2025 would be to be more in peace with myself and to know me better. And what I would have liked to spend that much time in, I think it's social media. I think it's still so much time from my life, from my friends, from being with my family and being like present. So that's the one thing I would like to spend less time on.
I love the know yourself better. I'll switch my battery out here. When you're thinking about how do you get to know yourself better? Like, what do you actually do?
For me, what has worked in the past is being alone and
Yeah.
getting uncomfortable, like out of my comfort zone, like getting to places that challenge me, like trying new activities that I wouldn't try because I was like too afraid of making them or that I thought I was going to be bad at or figuring out like probably I'm the worst. I don't know, like dancing salsa. And then I know I'm the worst dancing salsa. And I'm like for real, I spent so much time of my life afraid of trying new stuff because I may not be
Mm.
good at it that I never even got the chance to find out if I was or I wasn't. At least now I know I am or I'm not. So for me, like getting to know myself, of course, like therapy has been a huge help, but getting uncomfortable with myself.
I love that. I love that idea too of doing something you're not good at, which kinda goes against our biology a little bit. At yoga, you see that, like, the you see these guys and these gals, they must have been dancers or something because they're like poetry watching their yoga. My yoga is clunky and slow. My joints are cracking, but I'm with you. I really like to put myself in situations where, um it's really hard, like, I know that I'm gonna suck at this. Now the positive thing about that is you have this amazing ramp to competency that you don't get anywhere else, once you're kinda good at something and, like, I'm pretty good guitar player. So for me to improve at guitar, it might take 10 years to get a little bit better. But in the beginning, when you're first learning your couple of chords, it's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so amazing." And I love that feeling of, like, going from white belt to blue belt. That experience is just like it's untouchable in the ramp to competency. I love it. Cool.
I mean, how
I
else?
think Oh, what's
Yeah.
that? Sorry.
Like, how else do you get better at something if you don't even try that? Like, you have to be bad at first to become good at something. So we're missing so many chances to be good at stuff just because we're afraid that we're going to miss it.
Totally. Now there's the other side of the coin though, that I also like. I believe in, like, virtuosity. That, like, there's a skill that might take you your whole lifetime to develop, and there's a I wouldn't know because I don't have virtuosity, but I love the pursuit of that too. So on one side, I'm like, "I'll spin all these plates. I wanna try everything new. I wanna try everything new." But then there's, like, certain channels that, like, "Man, I think I can master this. This might be worthy of my time for the rest of my life." And I think that's, like, what they call, like, devotion. I didn't really understand the word devotion or what devotional practice was until I was, like, in Europe and I looked at the cathedrals, and you read about them, and they're like, "It took them 400 years to build this." And I'm like, "God, that is wild," These are the world's best masons that have ever lived, and they're not really getting paid. They're doing this as an act of devotion to their ancestry because they know they're not going to be around in time to see it completed. So there's like that pursuit, and then there's like my natural state, which is like I want to try everything. Maybe it's good to find time for both. I think that's probably a pretty good idea. I bet you those master stonemasons were going to salsa class and they sucked and they had to get better at it.
Yeah,
It
probably.
complement Oh, nice. Okay. For me, where I wanna spend more time is planning with my family. What I found in 2024 is I didn't sit down with the calendar and say, "Hey, I wanna have individual trips with my wife, daughter, and son. I wanna have a family trip. I wanna do all these things." I didn't put it on the calendar, and so it didn't get done. I'm gonna do that this year. I already talked to reclaiming more mornings. I'm gonna do that. And the other thing I put down here is garbage time. And garbage time is my favorite, and I'll describe. So you have quality time, and everyone talks about quality time with the family, you know? So some people might say, oh, we're going to go to the museum, or we're going to the zoo, or we're going to a sporting event. That's quality time with the family. I hate that stuff. I really hate doing any of those activities where it's canned fun. They're like, this is the time for fun. It's a special connecting time with your family. No, it's not. Not for me. What I like is garbage time, which is 11:30 at night. Dad's gonna make nachos. We're just gonna sit in the kitchen and talk shit. And just me and my kids eating nachos, talking about music, whatever, getting the tea from the day or whatever. That stuff I love more than anything, you know? Canned fun, no good. Just spontaneous conversation and fun with the family that only comes usually around food. It usually also see the theme here. It comes late nights, you
Yeah.
know? This it's my favorite stuff. So I'm
Very
gonna make sure that
organic.
happens. What's that?
Very organic, like conversation and get together. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And there's just it's just the best. That's the best part of family life. It's great. All right, let's see what else we've got here before we wrap up. Okay, let's see. Well, was there any questions here that stood out to you that you wanted to make sure we get in?
Um,
Let's do this one. There's one here. I'm not sure if you took notes on this one, but I kind of like this one. So, make a list of things you want to leave behind in 2024. Anything come to mind there?
yes, I have it very clear. People
Nice.
pleasing. That was it for me.
People
Because
pleasing.
people pleasing. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think like everything comes back together. This year I want to focus on myself. And it may sound a little bit like selfish, but this year I want to feel selfish. I have spent
Yeah.
so much time like pleasing other people and going where someone else is asking me to and doing stuff that other persons wanted me to do that I just lost myself in the process. And
Yeah.
I want to claim back myself. That's why also like my goals for 2025 is to get to know myself better. Because I have spent so much time doing what everyone else says
Mm.
that you get lost like in the flow. And I want to reclaim what myself is looking for in the world.
I love that. That might be kind of challenging because I people pleasers will generally come back to pleasing people. So it's going to take work to be selfish. And maybe if and I'm not making a recommendation here, but maybe if you're like, look, 2025 is an experiment where I'm figuring out how possibly selfish I can be, like go to the most extreme selfish, you know? But it's not really, you're a scientist. You're doing it for the benefit of mankind, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, right. Maybe,
And
maybe
I
that's just
mean,
how
yeah,
I frame stuff. It's for
but
science. That way it's not a habit. No, it's just for science.
but also it's about finding the sweet spot. I think in everything in life, like it's not healthy to be like very fitness if you don't get out once in a while. It's not very healthy to eat healthy all of the time if you don't eat some junk food once in a while. It's like you can please people sometimes, but understand this line where it doesn't get away from you, like when it's not taking from you. So I want to find that sweet spot, like being selfish enough so I don't get to pay the price, like coming from myself, but I can do stuff for other people and it's fine. I enjoy it. Just not when it comes and takes away from me. It's a bit
I love it.
confusing, but it's my life's philosophy, finding the sweet spot. Everything's about balance.
I totally agree. And there's that great analogy of like, you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of other people. And the metaphor is, if you're on a plane and the door hatch flies off and then the oxygen tanks come down, you put on your mask first and then you put it on your kids because you're no good to them if you can't breathe, you know?
Exactly.
So I like it. I like that's a good one. Okay. So the things I want to leave behind in 2024, I said 10 pounds. You know, I, I want to leave behind 10 pounds. Now, if I'm being honest, it's more like 25 pounds. So I'm going 25 and 25. Anybody who's listening to this who wants to take me up on this challenge, we can keep each other accountable. But I'm losing 25 pounds in 2025. Come hell or high water, that's going to happen.
But wait, lose them. Better turn them into muscle.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm,
I'm not too worried about that though. Like, I got 25 I can lose pretty good.
okay.
It's not gonna affect me. Um, cool. The other thing I did is, and we talked about this, was like faith and trust in myself, and believing in that luck, believing in the work you put in, just rolling with it. Yeah, the spirit of that I really enjoy is there's a spontaneity and there's an openness for novelty. It's like the world will open up to you in all kinds of different ways if you're paying attention. Something I really love from the Lakota tradition is that a lot of their teachings come from like the birds and like animals. So they're always open and watching. Now we have the same kind of information with us at all times, but if I'm looking at my phone or I'm kind of looking down or whatever, I'm not observing the world that's unfolding with me in it, with me being a participant in it, you know, then I'm not open to that kind of novelty in that kind of experience. So we're going to do that. We're going to open up to some faith and trust in the process and to old lady luck. So let's talk about podcasts for a second. You're listening to one, which is awesome, by the way. Thank you so much. But have you ever thought about being a guest on a podcast? Like seriously, imagine sharing your story and your expertise and your business all on shows where your ideal customers are already listening. Kitcaster connects founders and entrepreneurs, professionals with podcasts that actually make sense for their brand. No pitching, no guessing. You just have great conversations on great shows. And the best part, Kitcaster handles everything. You just show up and bring your A game, Kitcaster does the rest. This is hands down one of the easiest ways to grow your personal brand and just create a wellspring of content for short video, for blog posts, for speaking engagements, for whatever. So if you've been thinking, yeah, I really need to step up my content game, go to kitcaster.com and apply today. Now back to the show.